Afternoon, all. I'm back from Scotland. But yes, had an absolutely fantastic weekend. But yeah, wonderful place, honestly. So what are we talking about today? Well, unfortunately, we are still talking about the consequences of Donald Trump. And one of the big consequences, of course, is what is going to happen with these tariffs. Um, we generally do not know, of course, until Trump comes in, because some of his advisors are already talking about like day one, these tariffs being in place by the end of January. So if these tariffs do happen, they will come in pretty quickly. And I'm going to do another video about one of the advisors that is already trying to lay this groundwork for those tariffs. So I'm going to do that video. That will come out tomorrow. So, hit the subscribe button if you want to see that. However, I want to talk about something else that came out very recently as well. And this came out from a senior Trump uh, official, pretty much the guy who is going to be in charge of Donald Trump's trade policy, basically saying that the UK should accept the US's trade deal, or it stays with the socialist EU, even though the EU is not socialist. And otherwise, and if it does go with the EU, it will punish, like, the US will punish us. I have said this since day one. I have said this since day one, since we saw that Trump won. All those videos that I've been doing, I've been saying it very clear. Right now in Whitehall, there is a fundamental rethink of our approach to what the US is going to have to be, fundamentally, over the next couple of years. And you can even see this in the line that people like Starmer and Lammy and John Asquith have had to take when they've been brought up like this. They're like, well, we have no idea what's going to happen. And I think, honestly, that they're trying to sort of write this on the fly and come up with this. I think very foolishly hoping that this doesn't come to pass. But as many people in the US are finding out themselves, now that they actually voted for Trump and realizing, oh my word, he's actually going to do what he says. I know, congratulations, guys. You vote around and you find out, or you will find out pretty soon. We'll all find out pretty soon what Trump means by all these comments. But before we do get more into this as well, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page, the one updation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee, the YouTube thank you button, and of course, as always, there's the Pony Club down below as well. So let us crack on then into this, coming from The Independent, with the title of "Don't Take Trump Bullying on the Chin. Starmer now is warned after senior advisor issues EU Brexit trade deal threat." So, a senior economic advisor to Donald Trump has now warned the UK that it needs to, quote, ditch the socialist EU and embrace a trade deal with the US instead, or face tariffs. Now, what's going to be in that trade deal? Again, Kimmy Badenoch came out and said just a couple of days ago when we did the video about that, oh, that trade deal was so amazing and wonderful. Well, okay, if it's so amazing and wonderful, tell us what's in the deal. Because so far we only have some minor leaks, rumor, and speculation to be going on about this. She was probably the most involved person in this trade deal. Why doesn't she actually come out and start, pontificating on how wonderful and amazing supposedly this trade deal is? I don't think it's going to be like that at all. I think it's going to be very, very damaging to the UK. Very damaging to the UK indeed. And everyone knows it. And I think now that this threat is basically, you accept this trade deal or you will get tariffed. And I think they know fundamentally how bad the UK situation is trade-wise, of course, since Brexit. They're trying to force that. Guess what? If they do that, if they do this, the UK just ends up back in the EU. You know, you only had the Bank of England the other day come out and say this as well, that, Brexit is a massive problem for the UK economically. You can't keep this silent too much longer. As we always said, the second you get this new parliament, the fact that you've now lost all those Brexiteers from the previous parliament means that Brexit, once again, is going to go back on the agenda. And as much as Starmer and the rest of Labour do not want to talk about it, they will have to address it, like it or not. Time to address it. Now, they might not have wanted to address it as soon as they would have liked. I think that definitely seems to be the case. Their plan seems to have been that. However, reality, hits a lot of people in the face. And there you go. So let's get on to this. So this intervention, of course, by Stephen Moore has been seen as an attempt to now force the hand of Keir Starmer in the latest sign now that the relationship with the incoming White House administration is going to be painful. Yeah, I've been saying this since he won. This relationship is going to get very painful, and that has been made very, very clear. However, the Prime Minister has also been urged not to take the threat on the chin. And, of course, to continue now closer ties with the European Union, Britain's largest export market. Earlier this week, again, if it's our largest export market, why are we out of it? Why are we outside of it? Why are we not in it? Why not pursue more deals? And then, obviously, if you are at that point where we are so aligned with the EU, then you ask the question, why aren't we in it? Why aren't we help making the rules? And what was the point of Brexit? What have we been saying about that line of questioning for a while now? Earlier this week, The Independent revealed that the President-elect Trump plans to now veto Keir Starmer's deal to hand the Chagos Islands to Mauritius in a move that can now humiliate the Prime Minister because of concerns over the joint UK-US airbase on Deo Garcia. Now Trump's team is planning to punish the Labour government to even ditch its biggest foreign policy objective, resetting the EU relationship in favour of a trade deal with the US. And here's the thing. There is now a very clear pattern starting to emerge. There's a very clear pattern starting to emerge here. And that is that this incoming White House administration, especially led by Trump, is pretty much demanding that the UK do what we tell them. And I have to wonder, at what point do we start to see the Brexiteers, make the argument and turn around and say, US, you're interfering with our, sovereignty. Gee, I won't, wait out in the cold for that statement. However, Mr. Moore also told the Times that, quote, the UK now has to make a choice between the EU socialism and US freedom. He said, I've always said that Britain has to decide. Do you want to go towards the European socialist model or do you want to go towards the US free market? Lately, it seems likely they are shifting more towards a European model. And if that's the case, I think we'd be now less interested in having a free trade deal. I hope they would move towards total freedom. Again, that means basically giving the US complete and unfettered access to our markets, which would be a disaster for so many industries across the UK. But it doesn't seem that we'll be given that case, given the budget that just came out of London. But the pro-EU cross-party pressure group European Movement has also described now as the Trump team tactics as, quote, bullying. Economist and, of course, former MEP Molly Scott Cato, a senior vice chair of the group, said that Keir Starmer should not take the threat on the chin. She said, significant economic benefits will remain out of reach unless the government is now willing to choose a better deal with the EU and above Trump's US. Above all of the deals that risk now undermining our standards. Join at least the EU's customs union, then build from there. Gee, join the EU customs union. Someone else is saying exactly what I've been saying for a while now that maybe we could look at, maybe pursue. Is she wrong? Is Molly Scott Cato wrong? I don't know, but I think she's right on that. I think he is right on that. I think it is something we should absolutely do and pursue. But she continues, as an economist, I am not surprised at all that by making trade harder with our largest export market has obviously had a negative impact on our economy. But we do not just have to take it on the chin. There are actions that we can take to address these trade barriers imposed by Brexit. Reaching a veterinary agreement to cut red tape and reduce border checks would, of course, be a practical first step. We can do those. We just have to go to the EU and start those talks, start having those conversations. And I think Starmer's European reset, we have seen the relationship hugely improved. And not to mention as well the German ambassador, where he turned around and said, "Oh yeah, it's Germany's objective to keep the UK aligned with European rules, standards, and regulations." Just um so the attempt to, of course, bully the government, which now appears to be short of friends, very short of the friends on the international stage, of course, with the collapse of Olaf Scholz's government in Germany, also comes as Rachel Reeves is now desperately trying to find ways to achieve Labour's economic aim of growth. Mr. Moore said that Trump has now won a mandate for his plans to impose economic tariffs and start an international trade war. Wow. Wonderful. If you've got an economic insider basically starting, Trump has been given a mandate to start a trade war. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful. But the incoming president is now also keen on signing a trade deal with the UK. The Trump advisor said, "I've always been in favor of free trade agreements with the Brits, but for one reason or another, it hasn't happened. It would make sense to me. I think they think that we do have a very special relationship with the Brits, more than we do with the Germans and the French and the rest of Europe. However, there are very serious concerns of what the US-UK trade deal would actually look like, with American food producers in particular having a much lower standards and, of course, regulations in farming." Kim Dorick, Britain's former ambassador to the US, has warned that Mr. Trump offered the UK deal in 2017, but said it would have absolutely destroyed British farming. Reeves, who is now trying to target a trade deal with the US, has made it very clear that Labour's government will not compromise on agricultural regulations or Britain's relationship with the EU. On ITV, she said, "We are not going to allow British farmers to be undercut by different rules and regulations in other countries." Again, good that she's coming out and saying that. But I think it does go to show you what I've been saying for a while. We are now being put more and more between a rock and a hard place. And I think the obvious route here is obvious. Let's go with the EU. They are going to be far, far, far more reliable partners in terms of trade. Far more reliable. And just as we said, also a couple of weeks ago, Typhoon Orange will blow this, ship back into the port of the EU. Inevitable. And if you're Rachel Reeves and you're scrambling to look for economic growth, it's right there. I really do still believe that Reeves is very much a person of facts and sort of logic when it really comes to it, that she has had to make some very harsh decisions. And I think when she looks at it, at the end of the day, she's going to have to say, well, the EU's there. Why aren't we, talking with them? Why aren't we pursuing, some more, economic cooperation and, economic reconciliation as well on that term? But anyway, as always, yes, Orange Man unfortunately is back, and of course having very much, quite bad consequences for us, especially. Let it be known, as it said back in 2017, that trade deal would have absolutely destroyed UK farming. So, as always, and probably not UK farming, it would have destroyed a lot of other industries. I have a very sneaking suspicion it would have destroyed not only the UK steel industry completely, it would have maybe destroyed a lot more other UK industries as well. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, you can click the like, you can click the share button as well. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.